University. For those of you, I know some of you have a very long way to be here tonight for this very, very special occasion of Jack Hylton's 50th anniversary. Tonight absolutely would not have been possible without the inspiration of the two people that are joining me on stage here tonight. And I'm really delighted to invite them to have a bit of a conversation before tonight's and I'll perhaps tell you a little bit more about why we're all here today. Thank you. I'd like to introduce Pete Bates and Jack Hylton Jr. in the Hylton.
Times like this, you realise that perhaps you should have done a bit of planning for things like this. Good evening. Thanks for coming. It's lovely to see so many people here. I expect anyone to be here. We've had quite a long day.
Oh yes.
But
started about a year ago.
Yeah, 20 years ago. But we're ready to go. The plans sound amazing. We're going to have a lovely time in however long it is, 45 minutes time. What I thought we'd do. I haven't got long. I've realised I'm the worst dressed person in the building as well. I apologise for that because I haven't quite got as far as having time to get changed here. I thought I might explain a bit about why I'm here and how this has all come about. Come in, it's alright. I've said nothing of any work yet. But we might all point and do. So I'll say that, and then much more interesting than that, we've got Jack Hylton's actual son here, so I thought it might be fun to open the room to questions that you might like to ask him or me. You probably won't want to ask me anything, but that's fine. Certainly ask Jack things because he tells stories much better than I do.
Hopefully you've done more preparation than me.
Yeah, so I'm saying that now to give you a chance to think about what you might want to ask the son of the man who we're all here to
Basically,
more chance coming out, very exciting. So, I was a student here at Lancaster 20 years ago. I graduated 20 years ago this year. I don't know, I was here when I was 9. And I was a music student. So, one of the first places I came was the entrance there to this room. I was confronted by the big pictures you see outside there of Jack Hylton, who I've never even heard of, never even heard his name. Whilst on a classical course, being a bit of a jazz musician, somebody said to me, "Oh, you know about jazz, you must know who Jack Hylton is." And rather ashamed, didn't know who he was, so I thought I'd go and find out, being a conscientious music student I was. So I went to the library, thought I'd find a book about Jack Hylton and read all about him, and then I would have done the thing that was suggested, I would then know about it. I went to the library, and there wasn't anything about Jack Hylton, so I started to find out very important pieces to write. Hello, you're late. So, went to the library, there was no book about Jack Hylton, there was scant information about him, but I did my best to find out about him. Was intrigued by him. And then found out that university stored some stuff, all I knew at the time, some stuff to do with Jack Hylton. So I found out a bit more about that. And then took it upon myself to keep studying here and do a master's degree. That's how it turned out. Do research into the life of Jack Hylton. So I applied to university funding for that. I thought they're also going to do that. It's being a unique thing and to do with university. And what they did was give money to somebody who wanted to write something about cello and somebody who wanted to write something about Mozart. So I did do that degree. And then a year later I decided that actually, no, I really did want to do that, to the point where I was going to pay for it myself. I'm that kind of stubborn individual. So I spent the rest of the 1990s researching Jack Hylton and ended up with quite a dusty thesis, which if you really want to, you can go and read it. Turns out it's not very factually accurate. Which is a shame. So, that sort of got me going with it. And from that time, from the mid-90s, I always said, wouldn't it be good to take some of the music that's stored in the archive, rewrite it so we can understand it, so it's more legible, and put a concert on with the full-size band that I would have used, and obviously the thing to do would be to do it here. That would be a really good thing to do. Great. And then I thought, well, obviously then I could rejig my thesis into being a more readable, normal person's book. And that'd be a good idea. And literally for 20 years, I've talked about doing that. More important people. Everyone say hello, James. Hello, Craig.
Hello, James. Hello, Craig.
Hello, everyone. So yeah, I often say, oh, I've been talking about doing this for 20 years. I really have been talking about doing exactly what's happening tonight for 20 years.
Talk to me about it.
Yeah, exactly. So if I start to lose the plot a bit during the evening, that's why, because this is without exaggeration the culmination of 20 years of work. So it's a pretty big deal. In the process of doing that thesis originally, I was thrown towards this gentleman here, who suggested might be of some use to my research. And all it really left me with was a very dear friend for 20 years. So, that's quite good. So that's how I've come to this, and then the reason it's finally happened after 20 years of threatening to do it and boring my friends is where is Fiona? Oh, it's Fiona. It's completely her fault. She approached me. When was it?
A year ago.
A long time ago. I said we're actually going to do this, and we realised that there was a poignant date that we could do it on, which was today. And we thought we'd give it a go. That was a stupid idea. Turns out writing a book is considerably harder than I thought it was, and putting on a show that's got 25 people on stage is considerably harder than I thought it was. Which is why there's so many bodies floating around that are doing things for me and helping me out. So here we are. It is really quite a big deal for me, and I'm hoping that that will come across. And, we've got some fun to be had tonight. He's here, so I can't mess it up. So that's my story in a nutshell. I think, you say
Is
something.
there anything else you want to know? I mean, it's not left much.
In some ways, it's quite a simple little story, I suppose.
Anybody got any questions?
Oh, great.
How are there so few books?
When he died, his estate was controlled by a man called Arnold Goodman. And Arnold Goodman was terrified of horses. So everybody came and decided they wanted to write Jack's life story. It was vetoed. It was banned. Lots of people have written bits about the people who were involved. Ted Willis has written some lovely bits. Lots of people, but there was no definitive life story because we had to wait until everybody was dead before we could do it. It's the only safe way. But when Pete said to me, we should do it, I said, well, absolutely, why not? The only thing I've ever asked is that it's the truth. I don't want anything to do. There was nothing to be ashamed of in the whole story. And I can't think, there's nobody on earth who knows more than Dean Fagan now.
But I think there's another aspect to that as well. I think while he was alive, he actively put people off. He wasn't interested in that kind of thing, was he?
He never looked at the past. He wasn't interested in what was. He couldn't get him to talk about that. I tried for years to find out what happened during the war. Nothing. What's happening tomorrow? What will we do next?
How did he start his musical career? How did it begin?
His car, the Volta.
It's all in there, so it's special one tonight. Please, Mike, I'm really
His father was became a comic, and he played piano in the comic fight, and he decided he'd like to That's the long way.
Have you done anything in the way of music? Are you a musician
No.
yourself? Have you ever wanted to?
No, no, I think, I mean, my dad was pretty famous as a musician, and I think you would have to be really extraordinary to follow that sort of thing. And I know a lot of people who are in my position, sons of famous people, and you get two things. If you are successful, it's only because of who your dad was, and if you're not successful, you'll never be what your dad was. And I didn't, so I chose to take another route in life. Lucky for him, otherwise I'd have written a book and been here.
Yes.
I live about 5 miles out of Bolton, which is where Jack was born, and I've heard different stories of his birthplace. One was Division Street, one was Boundary Street.
There's a
Which
good
is
story
it?
about that. Because Division Street got renamed.
Not too much in the book.
Yeah. It's the same road.
Thank you.
It took me ages to work that out.
Yeah.
That was a real conundrum. That early stuff. Well, the road is, but the house I've completely redone. Yeah, that was a real sticking point for me for ages.
So it was Division Street, now Boundary Street.
Yes.
So I'll be able to walk down that tomorrow and find his house.
Yes, unless it's the other way around.
You'll be lucky to find his house sometime.
But yeah, the road's still there.
It's actually Division Street.
It's the other way around then?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it was bound
I should have asked you, shouldn't I?
Yeah, it's still there. Yeah, go with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, go to.
Yeah. We'll all go. Let's go. 10 o'clock tomorrow.
Yes.
You said that Jack Hylton was something that looked forward rather than backwards and wasn't really interested in the past. How come then that this music so remarkably has survived all these years?
Well, because it's not him that's doing it. See, he quit in 1940. He went into theatre production in 1940. And from then on, with one exception occasion, the band was never reformed, never redone, there was no comeback tours. He was into something else.
I guess he was a hoarder, wasn't he? Which is why the stuff still exists.
Well, that wasn't even him. That was a man called Frank Wheel, who had joined Hylton on the first German tour, first tour of Germany, and became librarian for the band. And he just kept everything. I mean, he was a magnet. And that's why. And right through, and I mean, Frank was with the organisation until Frank died, which was 9 years after Jack Hylton died. So he was a stayer.
Yeah, but that's why.
That's why everything is there. And why is it still played? Frankly, because it's damn good.
We'll see about that. Have that conversation in a couple of hours.
Yes, sir.
I know that Jack Hylton recorded prolifically
Oh, yeah.
between 1921 and 1940,
Yeah.
but 1934 was the only year in which he made no recordings. And I wonder, did he have an altercation with Decca?
No.
It's just
Yeah.
strange that that year there was no recordings whatsoever.
I think you'll find that if you look at the touring schedule for that year, it was fairly comprehensive. And it was a lot of time away from the UK. I mean, 1934 was one of the times when Bill Turner was left in charge of the band, and Hylton went over to the States to try and organise the first American tour, which didn't happen for some time because he ran into a gentleman called Petrillo.
He did that. He took issue with HMV and with Decca for the same reason. When he moved to Decca, there were other reasons for him to go financially, but he was moving to an inferior product than Decca Records. But he didn't feel he was being given the best songs. And there was a good argument that he should have been given the best songs. Yeah, and then he moved to Decca, and he was the big cheese. And then within 2 years, he felt he had the same issue again, which is why he left Decca. And then because of everything, he was just tardy to get to sign back to HMV. Question.
Can you tell us a little bit about the Piccadilly Orchestra that's on tonight? And are they playing original arrangements, or they've been transcribed from whatever?
Yeah, good question. When I decided to put the concert on, I was aware of some of the orchestras who were playing this kind of music band. Made things work with Michael Law, who wrote for Piccadilly Arts Orchestra. Realised we needed to expand, so we added quite a number of players in his band.
They're session guys, mainly, are they?
Yeah. And then shipped in a string section as well. So we augmented, kind of doubled the size of the Piccadilly Arts Orchestra. And then all the music that we're going to hear tonight is from the archive in the university, it's stored in special collections. And I've taken all those old scores, tried to decipher them, digitised them, so they're now in PDF on modern notation software. That's quite a big job. Sometimes the parts are just incomplete, sometimes there'll be a score but there won't be any parts. And these things are written hastily and badly with very light pencil 80 years ago. On some very, very small paper sometimes. So if you know anything about music, maybe on one stave there might be 3 trumpet parts on one stave, just little tiny, tiny dots. And all this intricate music that we're going to hear like that. So it's been quite a process to get that stuff off and onto the computer and then it's sounding right and not making any mistakes. It's pretty epic. So every single piece that we're doing is taken from the archive.
The original arrangements are quite fiendish themselves.
Yes, but what we're doing, we've got a bigger project going on, which is linked to this, but outside of this. Is Chris here? Chris is a PhD student here. He's found funding to make more of these scores available. That means giving me money to do it. That's what paying me. Fancy that. So at the moment we've got around about 40, soon to be 50 complete arrangements as PDF files, which are available to download for free forever. And that's what this project is. It's only free because nobody wants to pay for it. But this is going to be a legacy project. We want to get it up to 100 arrangements, all kind of exclusive, I suppose you'd say. All stuff in the archive that's just, you can download the score, you can download the parts, and you can do whatever the hell you want as long as you let me know that it's worked or not worked.
Did he compose at all, or were they...
Composing was much younger. I don't think composing was his greatest strength. But he had some degree of skill as a composer. He had a greater skill as an arranger, but very, very early on in the band existence, he did neither.
I still think his greatest skill was the showman.
Oh, definitely. I mean, he could arrange and compose and play the piano, and he was decent, but he wasn't virtuoso.
Did you ever travel with him?
On the band, it was defunct 7 years before I was born.
Really?
Yeah.
He was only young.
At least for me, I'm not here.
Yes, there's a question.
What's the household that you grew up in a musical in the sense that there were records and sheet music around the house, or did you have many of those?
My mother also was something of a West End star, so I really had no option. I was going to musicals at the age of 4, listening to the band. I was lucky enough to see the last performance that the Hylton band ever did, which was as a surprise closing act at the Royal Variety Performance. They reformed the Hylton band. Everybody was over the curtains open and the whole band was there. And I was lucky enough to see that.
8, 7, or 8?
Oh no, that one. But something I said to Pete earlier, which I have only realised today, taking me 67 years to figure it out. What you're hearing tonight is exactly the way a live audience will early. 1922, 25, 28. But if you listen to the records from that time, it's a world apart. Because the recording techniques didn't do it any favours.
What we've discovered today, this is the first time, you might realise that, it's the first time that we've run these numbers today. There's mics everywhere, that's because we're recording. There's almost no mics being used in the hall, apart from the vocal mics. Because the way the band was set up, it was naturally mixing. So that's why there's 6 violins and only 3 violin parts, because you needed that extra level to make it blend with everything else. So, you know, stood where you see I'm stood is the best seat in the house. It just sounds absolutely fantastic. And it's just the sound you hear is just the sound from the stage. It's just, yeah.
You say you're recording, is this for a future release?
I don't think so. The trouble with musicians is they're a very greedy bunch. I'd love to think, please buy my book. I'd love to think that that it's going to be good enough to want to release, but if I release it, I'm going to have to pay a buyout fee for 25 musicians, and even a small token, not enough amount, is still going to cost me a hell of a lot of money. So it's unlikely, but there'll be bits and bobs. I want to, because we're videoing as well. We've got a 4 HD camera video shoot going on. Well, it might be 5. Anyway, it's ridiculous sort of things that's happening. So some of that will get mixed, the audio will get mixed into that, mix all video, and put a few little bits on YouTube on the pretense of that it's for promotional purposes, but really it's just so we can all have a look at how it was. So in theory, I'd like to, if I win the lottery, then I'll back out. No sweat.
Have the BBC showed any interest in tonight?
We rang the BBC and asked them if they'd like to videotape it, and the response we got was, if it was a famous band like Bill Copper.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. Well, I still reckon we've got a shout. You may have seen some of the programmes that Len Goodman's done recently. The producer of those shows, and this is ridiculous. What you see on the projector tonight, was put together by Roger Keach, who's the producer of those shows. He's just done it just for free. It's just ridiculous.
He likes the project.
It's amazing.
I mean, Roger is still trying to get...
Yeah, I reckon that something will eventually come with that. And if we can get enough for generations.
If I change my name to Bill Cotton.
Hey, that's an option.
Oh,
Let's not rule it out. Yeah. Let's do one more question, and I need to go and put a suit on. Oh, yeah.
Can you tell us why the collection ended up at the university?
Yeah. Do you want to split it?
Yeah. He'll give a better answer than me anyway.
The collection was...
Just before we do that, I'll be out in front signing these if anyone wants to buy it, thereby rendering it completely worthless. I'll do that after the show when I've stopped sweating and crying. Thank you very much. Enjoy the show.
The collection was housed at the Adelphi Theatre, which was controlled by Jack Hylton. When we gave up the lease, we had to move the archive out. One of the executors, who was an executor because he was actually a nuclear scientist and decided the best thing to do with it was to throw it all in the skip. And fortunately I found out about this. And I said that I thought it was too valuable an asset. Not financially valuable, but too valuable artistically to throw away. And they said, yes, but it's very big. What do we do with it? So I rang down to Calvin, who's the professor of music at the time, and said, would you like it? And he said, yes, absolutely. This was the only place I could think of which had a facility to store an archive, because it is enormous. So up it came. Except for a few bits which are not connected with music so much and become very technical, and they're at the V&A, the Victorian Archive.
arrived late, I haven't done it before.
There is a reason that all of this is here. Without him, there would be no Jack Hylton archive, there would be no Jack Hylton music rooms, and none of this would have been preserved. So I think we need another round. Is there anything else? I shall let you all go to the loo before you go. Well, thank you all for coming, and we'll see you in there.
Right here, right.